Yo, what's good, guys? It's Austin here, or Luna. Today's story time's a pretty crazy one, pretty good one, and one that I think you guys are going to like. So, today's story time takes place exactly a year ago today, and it's a pretty memorable one. I don't think I'll ever forget this in my life. So, if you enjoy it, leave a like on the video, and let's jump into it. So, today's story time, like I said, takes place 1 year ago today. I was sitting in my room on my phone, pretty tired. I stayed up all night the night before. So I was just on my phone in bed at like 7 p.m., just real tired. And I remember I was kind of excited because the next day was my birthday. My birthday's October 26th. So yeah, tomorrow's my birthday, which is crazy. But yeah, a year ago I was sitting in bed, I was tired, I was excited for my birthday on the next day. And I remember I slowly started to nod off. I kept kind of like coming to and then nodding back off and coming to. And then finally I fell asleep. Now, I woke up 2 hours later to a very familiar sound. It was the sound of the iPhone text message. I'm sure you all know what it sounds like. That ding noise. Yeah, it was so loud it woke me up. I usually sleep with my iPhone on silent, but for some reason it was not on silent. And yeah, it woke me up. Now at this point it was like 9:30 p.m. or something. It wasn't even that late at night because I fell asleep so early. And I wake up, I look at my phone, and there's a text message from a random number. And it's a pretty long message, not like a paragraph or anything, but long enough to where like I kind of had to double take and like really read it. And I started reading this message, and I literally had to restart it like 3 different times because I couldn't believe what I was reading. I shit you not, this message read, "Hey Luna, you don't know me, but I know you. I know where you live. I know where you sleep. I'm coming to get you tonight." And when I first read this, like I said, I had to restart it a few different times because I couldn't believe what I was reading. I didn't know whether to laugh at this because it was a joke. I didn't know whether to take it seriously. So I kind of thought about it for a second, and I was like, you know what? It's almost Halloween time. It's probably one of my friends playing a fucking trick on me or something. I'm just going to go back to sleep. So I start nodding off again, and then I get another text message. My phone does the ringing noise again. I look up. It's from the same number. And this text kind of scared the shit out of me. It was straight up just my address. Yeah, that first text was a threat saying they were coming to get me and they knew where I lived. And the second text was my address, just proving that this stalker weirdo knew where I lived. So at this point, I actually start freaking out because it's a credible threat. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just some empty threat from some weirdo online who happened to find my number somewhere. It's some dude that actually has my address and is literally threatening to come and, hurt me or something. So yeah, I start having a full-blown panic attack. Like, no matter how many times I've been messed with by people or I've gone through scary things, it never gets any easier getting a message from a random number threatening you and then sending you your address and you don't know who they are. Like, that's just terrifying. So yeah, needless to say, I was instantly awake. I could not go back to sleep. I was terrified. I immediately called up one of my really good friends, and he could tell that I was freaked out because the minute he answered the phone, I was like, "Yo, man, can you come over?" And he was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Nah, dude, someone just sent me a really fucked up text. Like, you gotta come see this shit." And he's like, "What'd the text say?" And I told him kind of briefly what it was. And he was like, "Holy shit, yeah, man, I'll be right there." So my good friend Mike came over, and he stayed the night at my house. And we were both just up all night, mad paranoid, mad scared that some random stalker was going to show up on my front doorstep and fucking try and hurt me or hurt us or something. And, yeah, literally all night, every hour, we were peeking out the window, looking through my security cameras, just paranoid. Now it gets to be about 6 in the morning and nothing happens, right? And I am exhausted at this point. Like I said earlier in the story, I pulled an all-nighter the night before this, so pulling another all-nighter with only a couple hours of sleep in between was very, very hard on me. I felt so fucking tired. And Mike saw this, and he saw how tired I looked, and he was like, "Bro, let's go back to my house. You can sleep there for a few hours, kind of just chill out a little bit, not have to worry about this, and then in a little bit you can come back." And I was like, "All right, man." So I get in the car with Mike. We go back to his house. We both take a nap at his house. I slept in the basement. He slept up in his room. And I ended up sleeping for like 5 or 6 hours straight. And I woke up like super disoriented, super confused. And I went upstairs and Mike was sitting there in the living room. And he was like, "Shit, man, I expected you to sleep for like a few hours. You were out for like 6 or 7." I was like, "Yeah, I know." And he's like, "So any other texts, anything weird?" I was like, "Nah, I haven't got any other messages." And he's like, "Do you want to go back home or do you want to stay here for a little bit longer?" I was like, "Honestly, man, I have to go home. I can't leave everything behind because I'm scared of a text message. Like, that's just not practical." He's like, "Honestly, man, if I were you, you should call the police. Like, honestly, you should call the cops and find out who this is because this isn't just some, like, joke or anything. This is a fucked up threat." And I was like, "Shit, yeah, you're probably right." And yeah, I listened to Mike. I called the cops like 20 minutes later, and they came over to Mike's house. I described what happened. I showed them the messages. I talked about, my career and like what I do for a living and how I have a lot of followers and how people sometimes say fucked up shit to me. And the police were actually pretty understanding about the whole thing. Now, I ended up giving the police the phone number that the text message came from that creepy stalker motherfucker. I was like, yeah, here's his number. And they're like, all right, cool, we're going to try and find out who sent this. So the next day comes along, right? I don't hear anything most of the day. And then at about 4 o'clock p.m., I get a phone call from the police. And they're like, hey, is this Austin? I was like, yeah. And they're like, hey, this is officer, blah, blah, blah. You spoke with me yesterday. I searched the number up and I found out where it was coming from. I actually spoke to who sent the message and they're at the station right now. Can you come down and talk to us? I was like, yeah, I'll be right there. So yeah, I get in the car. I drive over to the police station. I'm nervous, right? Because I'm about to meet face to face with this creepy ass dude who had, the audacity to text me in the middle of the night and threaten me and say that he knows where I lived and all this crazy shit, right? And I'm scared. I can't lie. I'm about to meet face to face with a fucking weirdo stalker, right? Like, who knows? It could be some 40-year-old, like some super creepy, like murderer type guy. I don't know, right? And I pull into the police station and I walk in and the police officer takes me into a room and I walk in and there's this lady sitting there who looks like, maybe 40 years old or so, and a little kid who's probably like 12. And the kid has tears running down his face. He looks super, super upset. And the mom also looks really upset. And I was like, hi. And the mom looks at me and goes, Are you Luna? And I was like, yeah, that's me. And she goes, I am so sorry for what you're about to hear. And the police officer starts talking and he tells me that basically they looked the number up and they traced it back to this 12-year-old's phone. And yeah, he was the one that sent the message. A 12-year-old kid. And he's looking at me and he's crying. And I was like, dude, why'd you send me that? Why would you say that? And he's like, I just wanted to be in a video. I couldn't believe it, man. Like, this kid texted me a borderline death threat because he wanted to be in a YouTube video. And I guess a year later he got his wish because I'm making one right now. But I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Like, I really thought it was going to be some, like, older dude or, like, some weirdo that wanted me to, like, actually, get hurt or something. I don't know. But yeah, this kid's crying and he said he wanted to just be in a video. And then he starts saying that he's sorry and he didn't mean it like that. And the mom starts crying and it's just a very emotional room, right? And the mom stands up and walks over to me and gives me a hug. And she's like, I'm so sorry for what my son did. Like, please forgive him. Please don't get him in trouble for this. Like, I promise you he's a good kid. Please forgive him. And while she's hugging me, I'm just kind of standing there thinking, like, first of all, he's a 12-year-old kid. Even if I wanted to get him in trouble, I probably couldn't do anything about this. He's 12. You can't really prosecute a 12-year-old for a fucked up text message. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you could in certain circumstances, but I don't think in this one I'd be able to anyway. Plus, I didn't want to. I did fucked up shit when I was 12 years old. Don't get me wrong, nothing like that. But still, I could see that this kid was probably just trying to get some attention and get in a YouTube video and not actually try and threaten me. So yeah, I simply sat down at the table with these people. I look at the kid in the eyes and I was like, hey man, listen, just don't do that again. I'm cool with it. It's over. I forgive you. Just please don't do it again. He's like, don't worry, man. Like, I won't. I promise. And I was like, hey, man, I got to ask. How'd you get my phone number? Because, like, I don't know how you got that. He's like, oh, my friend knew you. He's like family with you or something, and he had your number. I was like, wait, what? Who's your friend? And he tells me, and it's one of my fucking cousins. One of my cousins fucking gave this kid my phone number. He's like, oh, you want to talk to Luna? Here's his phone number. So, yeah, I had to fucking get a new phone number and not give it to my cousin because I can't trust him either. But anyway, yeah, I told that kid, don't do it anymore. Don't ever do that again. Not a good thing to do. And he's like, I won't, I promise. And then he told me that he liked my videos and he really likes watching them. I told him I appreciate that. And just next time, maybe tell me that instead of threatening me trying to get into a video. And yeah, all in all, in the end, everybody was okay. Everything was good. And it was all just a false alarm. But it was a fucking scary one, man. I was terrified. But yeah, the mom ended up giving me a hug and thanking me for not getting her son in trouble. And I was like, yeah, it's no problem. Like, kids make mistakes. It's no big deal. And yeah, that was pretty much the end of it. Here I am a year later. I haven't heard anything about that kid since. I'm assuming he's staying out of trouble and probably learned his lesson from this whole situation. And that's pretty much that. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this story time. Moral of this story is, don't send people threatening messages. That's not okay. And yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed the story time. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below. And subscribe if you're new. I'll see you all later. Peace.
Lately, these changes don't faze me the same as it used to be. 100,000, man, this shit's not new to me. Fuck up bands, I just try to stay true